Michael, Money Michael Huggins. This is one of the first people I met when I got into Renatus, and I was impressed right from the very beginning. I'd heard about him. I'd heard wonderful things. I was a little bit intimidated, and up he comes. He was as nice as he could be. He was not intimidating in person. He took an interest in me. He asked me questions about myself, about what I wanted to get out of it. He told me right then and there that he was going to help me, and I appreciated that. I appreciate the things that I've learned from him since. He is a fantastic teacher. He is someone that has surrounded himself with ways to improve himself. He looks to for mentors who know what they're talking about, who can build him up to all he can be, and just look what he's becoming. It's amazing. He's a national leader. He started out as the youngest leader on the board, and now he's with us today. He's going to teach us and help us to be all that we can become. Michael, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone. Ron, thanks for setting this up and the kind words. Appreciate that.
You
Yeah, I do
betcha.
remember that first time we met, and it worked. All the training worked, because if you'd have met the old me, you might not have signed up so quickly. So let's go over some of that training and how we transform and how we listen, like what Ron was saying. I actually want to go over that real quick.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Baby.
All right.
Yeah.
Let
Hi, cutie.
mute. Muting. Awesome. Okay, that was funny. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. So how do we, there's 2 points I want to talk about today. First is some effective steps to listening. And then the next is, I would like to challenge you to raise capital outside of the community. Okay? There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money out there. But before we do that, let's talk about steps to listening. Okay? Listening versus hearing. Right? I'm sure we've all had an exchange where we tell someone, we're like, hey man, I feel like you're not listening. And then they go, yeah, I hear ya. I hear ya. That's different, man. That just means that your voice is vibrating my eardrum. I hear ya. Listening is with intent. Listening is watching the tone. Listening is looking at the facial expressions, the body language. Okay, so there's some keys to listening. That says language. Keys to listening. So number one is eye contact. This eye contact. There we go. Number one, eye contact. Be present. Be with the person. Make eye contact. Now, you got to check in with people's eye contact, because before when I would make eye contact, when I realized how important it was, I would lock on with a death stare. And I would analyze everything and I would just stare at them, and I would accidentally make them uncomfortable. So I realized I need to make an adjustment, right? So I'm staring at them. I got my eye contact here. One thing to make your eyes comfortable with people, so you're not just staring, right? Because I used to think, yeah, well, if I'm just staring at them, then they know I'm listening. That's not true. So look at it this way. If someone's making eye contact with you and they're speaking, and then they look away every 3 seconds, but then they come right back in, right? Maybe they look at the table, then they look back at you, or they look at the wall, and then they look back at you. if they're breaking eye contact every 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, then you do the same as well. Just look away for a split second, then look back, and it gives them a chance to reset, and then they don't feel like you're staring at them, but you're still making eye contact. Okay, I had a meeting, a one-on-one last night. Okay, for those of you who like to hustle, right? I had a follow-up at 9 o'clock and was there till about 10:30, and it was so we're sitting there at a restaurant, and I'm making eye contact, but every couple seconds I'm looking away, and I'm looking right back. Okay, it wasn't for me to look at anything when I looked away. It was just to break the stare. So that's something I learned with eye contact. Okay, next is be present. Be present. One thing I'm getting much better at when I go to these follow-ups is putting my phone on do not disturb. Think about it. Think about that phrase, do not disturb. So I put my phone on do not disturb. If you got an iPhone, super easy. I don't know if those other kinds of phones do it. Just kidding. Every phone does it. Do not disturb. Just flip it, do not disturb. Because even if you have it on silent, that's not really silent. The vibration is out of control. And also, if it's vibrating, then you are not being able to be present to the conversation, because now you're thinking about your leg and you're thinking about, oh, who's calling me, right? So I put it on do not disturb. I was present the whole meeting. And then when I got back in my car, I finally looked at my phone, had a couple missed calls, some missed texts, and then I was able to address it at the time. But if you pull your phone out, even to look at who's calling, nope, you broke rapport. You are no longer listening. So do yourself a favor, do your customers a favor, put on do not disturb even for an hour. It's totally fine, important. Okay, number 3 in listening is an open mind. Have an open mind. Don't jump to conclusions, as they say. Don't conclusion jump. Okay, don't be like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Don't do that stuff. Okay, don't jump to conclusions. Listen, smile, nod, ask questions. Okay, but don't jump to conclusions. Have an open mind, because assuming is dangerous. You don't want to look like an ass. So key number 3, open mind. We don't want that. Okay, now number 4 is don't interrupt. It's kind of going along with the same thing as keep an open mind, but don't interrupt either. Let someone finish all the way. Let them finish. And number 5 is ask questions. And we've talked about questions a lot, and I promise you, the more effective questions you ask, the more control you're going to have in a conversation, the more outcome you're going to get from people. Okay? So in your questions, you are you're looking for motivation. Okay? Motivation. Right? You're some people call it take the temperature. Right? You're taking that person's temperature. You're looking for motivation. Okay? If you're not listening, how on earth are you going to know about motivation? So this is where this comes in with raising capital. Because if you're really listening, some of the people that you're going to use, some of the people whose money you're going to use, they may not be that interested in an interest rate. They might be more interested in tax write-offs. So if you know what their motivation is, you know that they have a tax issue, then you can say, you know what, well, on this deal or on this project, there's going to be $25,000 or $30,000 in write-offs. So you can have that in addition to a 6%, 8%, 9%, 10% interest rate. if you understand people's motivation and asking questions, asking questions also shows them that they're listening and building rapport. Only ask questions to ensure your understanding. Okay, don't ask questions to make yourself right. That's too silly. Ask questions to ensure understanding. Okay, so now let's talk about getting money for your deals outside of the community. Yes, inside the community, that's fine. But if we keep, like, what are some of the benefits of going outside of the community for your capital? Well, for one, you're most likely going to get way more money. Okay? Way more money outside the community. Yes, there's plenty of money in, but outside the community, there are people who are just looking for deals. Whereas inside, if we're all getting started, maybe you got 2,000 here, 4,000 here, and 10,000 here, and then let's go get some hard money, and let's go get an equity person also, and we're trying to pool all this together. If one person gets upset or one person feels like it didn't work or you lose the money, then feelings, right? Feelings are hurt, reputations are hurt, and maybe someone decides to sue or whatever. Let's not freaking sue each other. That's retarded. That's look, real estate is risky. There's no doubt about it. Real estate is risky. That's why we have education, right? We do our best to eliminate as much risk as we can, but it's still risky. There's still the potential to lose money. If you lose money in a deal and then you try to sue someone, you should have never been in real estate to begin with. There's always that potential to lose money. So now, of course, there's gross neglect and different things around that. But if, what I'm trying to say is outside of Renatus, there's trillions and trillions of dollars. Think about this, $23 trillion in retirement accounts alone. 100,000, million, billion, trillion dollars. Now, if there's 350 million people in the country, newborns and everyone in between, everyone, that means that there's around $70,000 per person. But we know that not everyone has a retirement account. So maybe there's only, 100 million people, let's say 200 million people with retirement accounts. 200 million. Still, that would mean every adult is putting money into a retirement account. That still means we're pretty close. We're about $90,000 per person. Per person you talk to, on average, they have $90,000. Now, we know that's not the case. So it's split even more, but I'm telling you guys, there is so much money out there that even if it was distributed evenly, it's like saying there's 90,000 per person. So you go out and you start talking to people and you follow the steps that Matt Sorensen teaches in the classes. You follow the steps that Chris Alvin's talking about. You follow the steps that keeps you compliant with the laws, with the rules and regulations. You will have plenty of money. Okay? So here's something easy to understand. And remember, at the end of the day, you control the conversation. Questions. Control conversations. What controls conversations? Questions. Okay, so we can ask the right questions if we're listening. We got to listen for pain, listen for motivation. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can apply the solution. So Here is a pain point for most people's retirement accounts. The rule of 72 helps us understand their pain. This is such an eye opener, guys. This rule of 72. So what this tells us is the interest rate you are earning, okay, divided into 72 will tell you how many years for your money to double. Double. How many years for your money to double? Just kidding. Other way around. 72 divided by the interest rate. Okay. So if your interest rate, where do most people put their money right now? Most put their money in savings accounts, which is silly because we know wealthy people don't do that. We have CDs. We have money market accounts. There's stock market. Okay, so let's look at these for a quick second. Now, if you understand this, then this is setting up for you to have the next conversation or ask the next question to start getting your capital. And when you raise capital, use a lawyer, draft the document correctly, and use a lawyer. Oh, did I say use a lawyer? Also, when raising capital, use a lawyer, right? You spend $300, $400, maybe $1,000, but it shows professionalism, shows your intentions, and it keeps everything straight. Promise. Okay, so someone's getting a savings account and they're getting a 0.1%. With a CD, maybe I think right now with a 3-year CD, people are getting a 2%. Okay, with money market right now they're at 0.25%. Stock market, let's say people are getting a 4% year-over-year return. So if we use the rule of 72, how many years until their money doubles? How many years? Well, in a savings account at 0.1, you know what we're looking at? 720 years. It's kind of a long time. 720 years. So the person you're talking to, if their money's in their savings account, for their money to double at 0.1, it's going to take 720 years. Isn't that crazy? Crazy. And people are still doing it. Still. What about with a CD at 2%? Well, how many times is 2 going to 72? 36. Okay, with a money market account, 0.25 goes into 72, 288 times. Okay, stock market at 4%, we're looking at 18 years. All right, so now we know that the average person that we're going to come in contact with is at least going to double their money every 18 years. Right? But most people fit right in here with the CDs. Most people fall into these 4 categories. So think about it. If you put $1,000 in and then it takes 18 years for your $1,000 to then turn into $2,000, but inflation makes your $2,000 now worth back to $1,000. You basically just wasted 18 years because of inflation. If $2,000 in 18 years can only buy what $1,000 can buy now, then you didn't make any money. You didn't progress. Nothing changed. Okay? So the people out in America are having this problem because they're being fooled. They're being fooled by banks. They're being fooled by Wall Street. Okay, they're being fooled by the IRS. They're being fooled, right? So we have this huge opportunity to not only tap into the trillions of dollars that are available to us to do deals, but also we can solve these people problem. Okay? Remember that by the time people turn 65, right, by the time they turn 65 years old, 95% of Americans are either still working or they are on some government assistance or they're dead. 95% by the time they're 65. So that means only 5% of people by the time they're 65 have assets, have money coming in more than their monthly expenses. They're out of the rat race. Only 5% get out of the rat race. So even though you're meeting people with $100, $200, $500,000 in their retirement accounts or in their savings accounts or in their CDs, it's still being confiscated by inflation. It's still being devalued by inflation. Plus, if they're in the stock market, they got fees. There's fees. All these fees really make it so that the 2% or the 4% is actually even less. It's a big challenge that Americans are facing. Okay? Especially when their 401k is doing this for decades, and it's up and then it's down, and it's up and then it's down, and then they lose 10% and gain 10%, and they lose 50% and gain 50%. Right? This is tricky language that brokers and different money managers are using. Think about if someone calls you up and says, "Hey, you lost 20%, but then you gained 20%. So I just want to give you an update on your account. You lost 20, but then you gained 20." Well, if you had $100,000 and you lost 20%, you would be at 80,000, right? But then you gained 20%, where would you be then? You'd be at 96. So you actually lost 4% of your money. And then inflation is still eating at it. So then your 96 really is like 92 or 90. It's insane how much people need help. So the reason I bring this up, take a screenshot of this. The reason I bring this up is because if you understand what most people are dealing with and their mindset and where they are, because now all we think about is real estate. We would never leave our money in a freaking savings account, money market, or CD. That's too silly. We understand. But most people out there don't understand, and they don't want to, right? Try to sell them a combo. If they don't want a combo, then say, great, let's solve your other problem, which is your retirement. How are you actually going to retire? Okay? Do you guys get it now? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? One other thing with listening is when you start to ask these questions about interest rates and how people's retirements are doing, at first they're going to put on a front and they're going to say, I'm doing fine. They're going to put on a front because it's pride, it's ego. We all do it. It's a human thing. So you got to listen beyond that. You got to listen beyond that. And you start to ask effective questions. Okay? Okay. So, creating win-win. Screenshot. Clear. All right, now creating a win-win. Win-win-win. Let's say right now you know someone, maybe it's your uncle or your mom or your dad or your grandma or your cousin's nephew's neighbor's brother. Let's say they got $400,000 in a retirement account. And if they're earning let's say maybe they're actively trading in it and they sit in front of their computer all day, and maybe they're getting a 5% yearly return, then they still got to minus the fees out of that stuff too. Okay, but 5% on 400,000. What does that produce? What does that produce for someone? That produces $20,000 a year, right? $20,000 a year. So if someone's in retirement and they have an account like that and they're growing at 5%, which is producing $20,000 a year, but their expenses are $30,000 a year, then they got to take just a capital draw out of that just to pay their bills. So they got a challenge. Their account's growing at 20, their expenses are 30, but there's also inflation. And depending on what metric you're looking at, inflation can be anywhere from 4% to 9%, depending. And what's crazy is, like, just a quick side note on inflation, when they come out with their yearly stats, they will leave different things out to prove a point. So, like, sometimes the cost of a gallon of milk is included in proving what inflation is, and sometimes it's left out. So they'll leave in whatever numbers they want to prove it. The point is, we know it's anywhere between 4 to 9%. So if you're not growing at 9%, you are falling behind year after year. As a rule of thumb, okay, something to think about. So this person obviously has an issue, because now they got to take out 10% every year, plus inflation is still counteracting their growth. So really, they're just taking draw after draw after draw, and over the years, their expenses are going to go up, right? Utilities and bills and gas and food and everything is going up. So how do we help them? In a simple way, you guys got to get your ass in gear and get through these classes. If you start understanding the buy and holds and the multifamilies, and you understand notes, and you start to really get this stuff, you're going to help people retire comfortably, build a family legacy that they can have, and you can benefit all along the way, because we are focusing on a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. This is what we want. Okay, so now we ask effective questions. Okay, in the listening. So effective questions. I would recommend a book. Now, unfortunately, it's not on Audible. I don't know why, but this book called it's by Thomas Freeze, and the book is called Question-Based Selling. Okay, because you have to sell your idea that real estate is better than stock market, money market, CDs, savings. You got to sell your idea. And not only the idea, but then you got to sell that working with you is the best. Okay, so we start asking questions like, what interest rate have you been earning over the last 5 to 10 years? Okay, then you're going to get an answer. And because you understand the rule of 72, the second they tell you that answer, you pop it into your head. Oh, they're getting a 7% return. Takes 10 years, right? 7 into 72 is 10, basically, right? 10.156. So now okay, so your money doubles every 10 years if you leave every penny in. But if people are taking withdrawals to pay their expenses, then it's never going to double. So then we say, what interest rate would you like? What interest rate would you like to earn? Right? Now, some people say, man, if I could just get a 10% return, if I could just get 11% return or 12% return. Okay, all right, I'm hearing you. I'm getting it. I'm listening. 10%, yeah, that'd be great. What if you could get, now, again, effective questions. What if you could get a 10% return without broker fees and we could insure it? Right? What if we could put an insurance policy on that money, so you were going to earn it and there's no way to lose it? Would you like to see what that looks like? Okay. Everyone's going to say, yeah, you can insure that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, what if, again, these are just questions because what you're doing is you're taking a temperature, you're testing the waters for their interest in making a move, right? You've got to move out of the stock market, move out of CDs, whatever. What if not only could you get a higher interest rate like 10 or 12 or 15%, but what if I could also help you reduce your taxes at the same time putting more money in your pocket? Would you be interested in learning more? Okay, remember that question. Would you be interested in learning more? What if I could help you get a 10% return while reducing your taxes, which ultimately puts more money back in your pocket? Would you be interested in seeing how that works? Okay, listen, pay attention, look at body language, look at your facial expression, ask the questions, be present. Don't look at your damn phone, especially when you're asking these questions. You're going to networking events, you're out and about, okay? These kind of questions, they're going to say, well, how does that work? What does that look like? And you say, well, I'm glad you asked. Okay. Now, as if they're showing some interest, they're excited, but they're also going to put up a wall. Okay. They're going to put up this wall because they don't know you or they don't know what you're talking about now, or they think that a 15% return might be risky. Okay. If they think 15 is risky, then say, all right, 10. Yeah, because sometimes people just can't handle it. I'm serious. When you go back and you look at a deal, if you used your own money to do your last fix and flip instead of using hard money, if you used your own money and you put 200,000 in, and then you sold it for 300,000 and you made 50 grand after everything was said and done, and you put 200 in, you made a 25% return using your own money. So people think if they hear a 25% return, they think the risk is through the roof, and so they don't want to do it. Okay, so it's a perception of risk, but what we're going to show them is how everything is protected and how it's actually much less risky. But they're going to have their wall up. As soon as you start to say stuff like this, they're going to have their wall up. So how do we lower their wall? You're going to say something like, well, I don't need your money now. I don't need your money. I don't need your money. Okay? And then wall comes right back down. Now they're ready to listen. Well, I don't need your money. But if I came across a deal, that could produce a 10% return, would you be interested in talking more? If I come across a deal that produced a 12% return for you, would you be interested in taking a look? I don't need your money now. I've already got it covered on the deals I'm working on. But if I came across a deal that could produce a 10, 12, 15% return, would you look at it? Effective questions. Everything's got to be a question. Questions. Okay, go get this book. It's on Amazon for like $2. Pay $4 in shipping. Hey, Bill, I don't need your money now, but if I come across something that I could insure, and get you that 10, 12, 15% return that we talked about, would you be interested in taking a look? Okay. Start asking these questions. Now, if they say yes, guess what? They just committed to being, well, not really committed. It was a soft commitment that they're now going to be a lender. Okay, clearing this. So if we go over, and this is why it's so important for you to go through your classes. I want all of you to review the 4 benefits of a rental in your essentials. It's either, I think it's day 1 of tax and legal. I know they just kind of move some stuff around. I don't remember if it's day 1 or day 2. The point is, it's in your tax and legal classes. And the 4 benefits of a rental are obviously the cash flow. Then we have the amortization or the debt reduction, right? The debt reduction. Okay, then we have the appreciation. And then we have the tax write-offs. Each deal produces their own tax write-offs. So if the tax write-offs were giving you, and we're being super, super conservative, but if the tax write-offs, let's say you put $100,000 into a deal and it produces cash flow, we're reducing our debt, it's appreciating, and we get the tax write-offs. I want you to learn this. We're not going to spend time on it right now, but go watch your classes on it so you can be an expert on it, and you can bust it out on a napkin. Right? You could bust it out on a little piece of paper. 4 benefits of a rental. But I promise, if you say that phrase, I don't need your money now, but if I come across something that I can get you that 10, 20% return, whatever that ends up being, would you take a look? You're going to get yes like 9 out of 10 times. Okay? So we'll go over the 4 benefits of a rental, or this one's actually been the most effective for me in raising capital and creating businesses. And then you talk to an attorney. You say, hey, we're going to do a deal with this person's money. You'll always use a lawyer. And you just factor in legal costs. Legal costs are write-offs. Okay? So you can write off what you pay the lawyer. You can let them pick the lawyer, or you can pick the lawyer. It doesn't matter. But you could tell them, hey, if you pick the lawyer and everything looks great, right, I'll put the paperwork together. You have your lawyer review it, and we'll be good to go. Now, the reason why I keep talking about rentals is because the people who leave their money in the stock market or put their money in CDs, they're passive investors. They're passive investors. They don't want to be active investors. They want to be passive investors. They just want to sit back and watch the money come in, and they want you to work. So if we talk about rentals and we talk about apartments and we talk about storage units or land development or buying notes, this is long-term money stuff. So you set up a 2, 3, 5, 10-year game plan where they can receive passive benefits. Okay, so we're going to dive more into this as the weeks go on. But think about it. If you, over the next 90 days, talk to 100 people, law of averages. If you just ask those couple questions, what interest rate are you earning? What would you like? If I could insure it, would you like to look at it? I don't need your money now, but if I come across something, and then in a month, 2 months, say great news, and you call me and you reinitiate that conversation. Law of averages. If you talk to 100 people, you're going to get 90 no's. You're going to get 10 yeses. Now, some of those yeses, they might only have 10 grand, but some of them are going to have 5 million, 10 million. So I met a guy, answered one of our ads, came to a workshop, had a bunch of rental properties, and he came to the Velocity Banking workshop, and he had 7 properties paid off, but he had 8 that still had mortgages. And we showed him Velocity Banking. He sat back and he had the biggest grin on his face, and he goes, so you mean to tell me I could have these properties paid off in 5 or 6 years? That'll double his cash flow. He was already making $15,000 a month now. He's going to double his cash flow. So he said, Michael, I'm not going to enroll in Renatus, but I have $1 million in my bank account that I'm waiting to do a deal. Because you helped me understand how to pay off these mortgages, let's find a deal. Okay, now he said that a few months ago. So I've been following up and cultivating that relationship, trying to get him to buy a combo, and he's like, nope, but my daughter might buy a combo. So now, okay, we're following up with her, getting her educated. But he wants to be a private money lender. He's been a real estate investor for 30 years on his own, just buying rentals. He gets it. But because I created a win-win-win, and I asked him effective questions, we start talking about, all right, so if I have this project or this project, are you in? He's like, yeah, show me. Let's do it. So now I have a friend. I have a friend that wants to lend money and do deals outside of the community. Okay, now guess what? He knows other people outside of the community, right? So these 10 yeses, right? One yes is 5 more people. He's the average of the 5 people he spends his most time with. So if this is him with his money, he also knows other people with money. So if I help him get a great return, he starts talking. He starts telling these people, hey, I'm getting now 10, 12% return, secured and insured. I'm also paying off my debt. Now all of a sudden, these people are interested. And you tell them, hey, man, if you bring more capital, we can do more deals. We can involve your friends. And each of these people are the average of the 5 people they spend the most time with. So we start to understand true networking and going out and meeting new people and networking and creating relationships. You should never, ever, ever have an issue with money. Don't say things like, well, I don't have the money. BS. You haven't left your house to go find this guy. That's what it is. It's not that you don't have the money. It's that you didn't leave your house. You didn't go to the workshop. You didn't go to the event. Okay? So what events do we go to find people like this? Well, go to your the real estate industry events. Real estate industry. Just Google real estate events in your area. Okay, there's going to be trainings, there's going to be workshops, there's going to be gurus, there's going to be associations for you to go to. Okay. But also, another great one is meetup.com. I freaking love meetup.com. So I recommend, and I have people on my team where they've committed to going to 2 meetups a week. They go to 1 meetup. One is for business and one is for pleasure. Okay. If you love rock climbing, great. Go to the rock climbing meetup. But then also go to the entrepreneur startup, or go to the business newbies meetup, or go to the sophisticated lenders meetup. I don't care. There's seriously like 10 million meetups. They're everywhere. So go to them. One for business, one for pleasure. Okay, one for business, so you can ask questions, and then in the pleasure, you're going for the same intent. You're going to ask those same questions, but here you have instant rapport because you now have something in common. You have the same hobby in common, right? What if you liked mini remote controlled boats, and you like to go to the park and drive your little boat around in the pond, and there's a meetup, and everyone brings their cute little boat, and they're driving their little boats around. It's the middle of the day. You can ask questions like, so what do you do that allows you to be here on a Tuesday at 10 a.m.? Don't you have work or something? They're going to say, no, man, I'm a business owner, or no, I got this thing going on. So if you find meetups where the pleasure thing is during the day and you're going, then other people are also like, they don't have a job. They got something going on. They're thinking outside the box. But now you got this rapport, so you can start asking questions, right? Meetup ends at noon. You say, you know what? That was a ton of fun. Why don't we go grab some lunch? And now you can get to know them better. And you tell them, and you got your audio business card. That's the last thing before we end here. this is something we've been hitting a lot on in some of the local trainings here, is this thing called an ABC. It stands for audio business card. So your homework for this training for today is I want you to create 3 new ABCs that you can just drop on people when you're meeting them. An audio business card. Here's the formula. It's a formula. I plus target market. Whoa. Try that again. Not target market. I plus action verb. And that's redundant. I plus verb. I plus action verb plus target market plus benefit plus so they can plus benefit, and then end with a question. That wouldn't interest you, would it? Remember, questions control the conversation, so you gotta ask your question. I plus action verb plus target market plus benefit, so they can plus benefit. That wouldn't interest you, would it? So let's create one right now. And then I want you to create 3 new ones. So when you go to the meetups, when you go to the BNIs or the Rotary clubs or the associations, whatever you're going to, you have 3 right off the tip of your tongue. So I support entrepreneurs. I support entrepreneurs with, let's see, I support entrepreneurs with secure, nope, I don't like it. I help investors I help investors securely grow their money with peace of mind so they can spend time with family and look forward to a secure retirement. That wouldn't interest you, would it? Who's going to say no to that? That wouldn't interest you, would it? Okay. See how that works? So I want you to come up with 3. Use this formula. Come up with 3 more that meet the thing you're doing. So the target market could be what the meetup is about, right? If the meetup is about hot air balloon enthusiasts, then just say that, right? I teach hot air balloon enthusiasts how to get a better rate of return on their retirement account so they can buy more balloons and travel the world with peace of mind. That wouldn't interest you, would it? And if they say yes, great. Well, I'd like to take you to lunch and show you how that works. Or I'd like to hop on a phone call later today, or maybe right after this, I could show you how this works. Here are some projects we're working on. And the projects could be your own community members or your 5-star members or just someone else in the market, on the team in Renatus that's working on deals, right? You need some good examples. Go to the success webinars that Scott's team's put together every Monday night. We've got a success webinar where they're breaking down deals. Go to the house tours in your market and take down the numbers. Right? If someone's buying a house and they're selling it and they're making plenty of money, and say, here's some of the projects that we work on to get that result I'm talking about. Now, I don't need your money now, but if I come across another one that could help you get closer to retirement, that could help you buy more hot air balloons, that could help you do whatever the thing is that we're doing right now, would you be interested? Would you like to take a look? So go make 3, get out there, go raise some money, go do more deals, create partnerships, watch your classes. I promise, guys, if take the steps, you'll get the results. If you don't take the steps, all the words, all the trainings, all the cool little drawings I do, none of it's going to help. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for participating. You're awesome. I will see you guys soon. If you're in Denver, guys, I'm coming out there. I'll be there for this Super Saturday. Looking forward to it. All right, guys. Ta-ta for now.